Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alex, I go by Juggy, and this is my comprehensive equipment guide for beginners. Just a little heads up, I'm going to have the same type of guide for the commanders in the game, so be on the lookout. At some point you place the blacksmith in your city and you probably by now started producing some materials, but for now we wanna focus on the forge. So this video is going to basically have 3 chapters. First we wanna examine a piece of equipment. Then we're gonna look at the materials, and last but not least I'm going to have some advice for you. However, I wanna make clear that I'm not going to tell you what equipment to get. Instead, I wanna try to explain the system to you, and if I'm doing a good job, maybe, hopefully, some of you would be confident enough to make your own decisions. So let's look at the Windswept Warhelm. On the right hand side, we see the benefits we get from this item, in this case infantry attack, cavalry attack and march speed. Because this is part of a set, we also down here have a 2-piece and a 4-piece bonus. For the 2-piece bonus you can mix and match any of the items, so you could have the helmet in the chest, you could have the glove in the chest. Whatever you have, 2 pieces, you get a bonus. So you can see all the available sets down here on this button. So I think it is important to point out the bonus only applies to the units you are using in a march. So it doesn't matter if you have a integration, leadership, cavalry, archer, infantry commander. For as long as you are using the according type of unit, you're gonna get the bonus. So for example, you are using Ethelflaed, who is a leadership commander. For as long as you are using infantry and or cavalry units, they will get the respective bonus. And obviously the march speed just flat out always applies. So then, some statistical improvements are more desirable than others. On the gloves we get health, on the chest we get defense, and on the helmet we get attack. This is also the descending order of priority, so health is most important, defense is second, and attack is third. However, in the beginning it's going to be difficult to get all health and defense items, so you gotta somewhat stick to what you can get. However, if you are spending a little extra time to get an item that gives you defense or health over attack, then it's absolutely worth waiting for a little bit and producing more materials to get this other item. So then on the bottom side we have all the requirements to forge the item. Obviously we need a blueprint, then we need the materials, and we need some gold. So these materials are not random, and we're gonna go to the material production screen. So every material is bound to a unit type, and from left to right it goes. Leather is for cavalry, iron ore is for infantry, ebony is for archers, and animal bones are for siege units. Now, this would kind of be, I guess, the first piece of advice. The siege unit items for now, at this moment in time, are only for the gathering items, and I personally advocate for never producing animal bones, simply because you only need so much gathering items, and especially in the beginning I would suggest you focus on getting items on your peacekeepers. So then down here we can combine material, and you should never be here, like never do it, absolutely not. The problem is, if you combine items, you could run into the problem that you decide, oh, actually I want something else. I want another item. So now you would have to disassemble the material that you combined, but it costs gold. And as you can see, one legendary dismantle is 2.5 million gold. So this can become super expensive if you keep doing this. I combined materials, but that's another topic for another day. This also means you should always have a rough idea of what equipment pieces do you want next, just so you can start producing the according material, because you don't want to end up producing thousands of, I don't know, leather, but you actually need thousands of ebony. So now you have to wait weeks just to produce ebony to get the next equipment piece. So always have a general idea of what equipment pieces you want next. So then we go over to the refine. Refined items are items that give you a little extra boost. We are going to my commanders. We are seeing Boudica. We're gonna go to her bow. And as you can see, we get a 20% defense, but we also get a green number, which gives a little boost, or a pretty big boost, of 6% defense. So that's a refined item. Whenever you craft an item, you have the chance of it popping out as refined. That's referred to as a proc or a crit. And I'm gonna show you a quick clip of how that looks. So as you can see, I'm choosing the item, I'm forging, and then I end up choosing 1 out of 5 buttons. And this is a bit tricky because this time actually it does correlate to the commander you are using the equipment piece on. I end up choosing infantry because this piece of equipment is going to Guan Yu, and then the refine bonus is being applied. But if I'm then sending the equipment piece to, let's say, Ethelflaed, who is a leadership commander, the bonus doesn't work anymore. So for the items that don't proc or don't crit, you can manually refine them. So we're gonna look for an item where we can just quickly do that. If we, here we have one. So if we are clicking here, we are seeing the chances of the refine. So we have this bar. We have to fill it to 100 for it to be refined. So when we now try to refine, we have a 29% chance of it going to 25. We have a 50% chance for the 30%, and so on and so forth. You can see it. This also means for every single time you try to refine, you need a blueprint and you need gold. So in the beginning, it's definitely not worth to spend gold and blueprints and everything for refinements, especially if you think about it. If you have an item that gives you, for example, 2% attack, for the refinement you would get 0.5 or 1% attack. It's just not worth it. But we're gonna try to refine this item. We are at 75. We're gonna do it again. It's refined. So if we are looking at this symbol, we are seeing the archer symbol. So I selected archer refinement on this item, and she's an archer commander, so the bonus applies. So you always have to choose the talent tree the commander has you are using the equipment port for. I might have screwed up this sentence a little bit, I'm sorry. So that means, for example, you are crafting or refining an item for Joan of Arc. You gotta make sure you remember she's an integration commander, just so you can choose the according refinement talent tree. So I guess that's it for refinements. Then we gotta go over to iconics. I cannot, all my legendary items are iconic at this moment in time. Iconic crystals are not yet really a concern for you. it's a resource or currency that you mostly get from KVK and KVK related events. The iconic crystals can be used to give another little bonus on your legendary items, but it only works for legendary items. So as you can see, because the border of these items is like extra shiny, it means they are iconic. And if you are clicking on it, it says iconic attributes through base health +3. Now that sounds very minuscule, however it is actually pretty significant. If you have a full iconic set, it more or less, it's kind of like turning your tier 5 unit, tier 4 unit, whatever it is, into the next tier unit. So especially at the late game, at the meta game where you are using tier 5 troops, if you have all iconic, it's basically like you are using tier 6 units. But like I said, this is only for legendary equipment, so it shouldn't be of concern for you at the moment. Then you can also dismantle equipment. You gotta be a little careful. So there are no inherently wrong choices other than maybe crafting a gathering item for somebody you are sending to combat. Because you can, even if you do something weird, you can always dismantle the item. However, you still have spent gold for crafting the item and you will not get it back. But you will get back 100% of the materials you have used, and that goes for up to the legendary items, where you only get 50% back. So that means out of these 3 materials, I actually used 40 legendary each, and now I'm getting 20% back, 50%, I'm sorry. And then for everything else, you are getting back 100%. So you will only have spent the gold. So you can try it out a little bit. You can always dismantle if you feel like, oh, actually that was a not so good choice. So down here we are seeing the requirements to craft this item. Now we need always the blueprint, then some material and some gold. Now the material is not really random. Every material is bound to one unit type. So from left to right it goes: leather is for cavalry, iron ore is for infantry, then ebony is for archers, and animal bones are for the siege units. I personally advocate for never producing any animal bones, because in this moment of time we are not using siege units in combat, so they are only being used for gathering. Now in my opinion, it is not worth using the time of the material production for getting gathering items, because you always only need so many gathering items. And well, there are even more arguments to be made. So for example, if you don't absolutely min-max your gathering, where you never have downtime on your gatherers, then the question becomes, how useful are the gathering items anyway? So we are going back to the helmet. Like I said, every material is bound to a unit type, and as you can see here, we get the benefit for infantry and cavalry, so we need iron ore and leather. So this means if you know, for example, so I just expertised for example, let's say Lohar, infantry units on him. That means you're gonna need a whole lot of equipment that has infantry benefits. So now you know you should start producing iron ore. This is just to say you always gotta have like a rough idea of what you're gonna get next, so you don't waste your time producing a material that you actually don't need. So then one more thing about the materials, we're gonna go over here. So we have two different types of chests for the materials. These are random and these are choice. So you never want to open the choice chests, and I'm gonna show you why. We have this is perfect. So we have the Calvin's hand. I can, as you can see on the left hand side, I can actually forge this item. But if you look down here, I actually don't have the resources or the materials to actually craft the item. So if you click on Quick Forge, you're gonna see the forge is automatically combining items for you. So I have green items, but I actually need the blue ones, and it's automatically combining them for me. And the forge is also automatically considering the choice chests that you have. So they are being automatically used up by the forge. This doesn't apply to the random ones, obviously, because you cannot make a specific material out of a random chest. So you can actually open the random ones, but never touch the choice ones. So then the last thing about material would be over here. Oh, Jesus. Never go to these two tabs. Just stay away. So here you can combine your materials, but as we established, the forge is actually automatically combining them. So the problem is if you start doing this, so let's say you are planning to craft a purple cavalry item, and now you're starting to manually combine your gray and green and blue leather materials. Now it could happen that you realize, oh, actually no, I want the blue windswept set. Now you need blue materials instead of purple ones. That means you have to disassemble them. But if you look over here, disassembling a purple item costs you 500,000 gold, and a legendary one costs you 2.5 million. So never do this. I did this in the very beginning. It has cost me like 80 million gold just because I wanted to see all the material, all the legendary material. I did this now again, but that's another topic for another video. It has a purpose. But yeah, I did this mistake in the beginning, and it was very expensive. So just stay away from these two tabs. Let's go over some advice. So my first piece of advice is don't craft legendary items. Just straight up don't. I know it is very indulging. If you see, oh hey, I can almost craft a legendary, it is so appealing to go for it, but just don't. It doesn't make sense. I'm gonna give you an example. These are the archer boots from the legendary set. They give you 7.5% defense. I think if I remember correctly, you get a 1.7% chance for an automatic refine. That's 1.7%. So 7.5% defense on these boots. Now let's look at my Boudikas boots. They are purple and they give 7.5% health, which is much better. So you see, the purple item with the refine costs much less, is much less of a struggle to get, especially when talking about the blueprint, because the blueprint alone for the legendary item is going to cost you a whole lot of gems, most likely. So in many cases, the legendary items just don't give you better value in terms of the stats. And when you consider the gold spent, the material, the gold and gems and everything spent for the blueprint, then the value actually is going down. Then the other reason is with legendary items you are starting to compete against players you are not yet ready to compete against. You have 2 legendary items on a commander, you are super proud of it, and you are sending a screenshot of it into your alliance chat, and people are going to be like, yeah, okay, cool, why do you have legendary items but you only have 100 million kill points? Like, you know, you see, like, then there's expectations coming with that. So there's organically going to be a moment when you know it is about time to get legendary items, and at that point you are going to be in the game for so long that you will be able to make that decision. So then let's talk about the upgrade path. So the best way to go about equipment is having an upgrade path. I'm gonna show that with my 2 infantry commanders. I think it's on Scipio, yes. So this right here, what you see on Scipio, is my original first build. Like, these are the very first infantry items I have built. And then I just started at some point when I knew it is about time, I started crafting legendaries, and then I replaced my old items, and my old items I gave to my next infantry march. So the best way to go about it is to have a little bit of an upgrade path. However, let's say it makes sense for a lot of people to have one march of each unit type. So you have 1 cavalry march, 1 infantry march, and 1 archer march, and that's like forever your lineup. So then, yeah, of course it makes sense replacing items and then dismantling them, like dismantling the old item. But in general, it is always recommended to kind of have an upgrade path and make use of the old items, because in a lot of cases, for example, for the events like Golden Kingdom, you will make use of those second item sets you're going to end up with. Then my next piece of advice would be, like I said before, don't produce animal bones. It's my personal take on it. The reason being, most players in the very beginning are super motivated to have their gatherers out like 90% of the day, but at some point you're gonna slack. And then the question is, why would you waste your time producing animal bones if your gatherers are only gathering 50% of the day, or even at 70% of the day? I would say it doesn't really make sense, because at that point the combat capabilities are much more important than, let's say, the 20 minutes you would maybe save on cleaning out a gathering node. I personally, I don't produce any animal bones, but I get them from the events, like from the random chests, and nowadays in every single event you gonna get materials anyway. Then events is the keyword. Clear out events, play them, like Golden Kingdom for example, super important. Ian's Ballads, super important. Ceroli Crisis, super important for equipment materials and blueprints and all those shenanigans. Super important. If people are telling you these events are so bad and that they take so much time, it's not true. I personally, I think it has been over a year since I have used more than 40 minutes on a Golden Kingdom, and I cannot even remember the last time I didn't finish it on first try. If you have problems finishing Golden Kingdom or Ceroli Crisis or anything, I suggest or recommend you're looking for guides. I don't know if there are good guides out there, but look for them, because you definitely should clear out those events every time they pop up. Then one more thing, how to find value. We established the priority order for stats. So if we go, for example, down here, we have a green Z. Now, a green Z in general sounds absolutely amazing because it means for 2 green items you get a Z bonus. This can only be amazing, right? Now, if we look at the stats, you get 1% health and 4% attack on your legs, and you get 4% health and 5% defense on your weapon, and this is all cavalry stats. How amazing is that? Like, you get all 3 stats, but along with that you actually get 5% health and 5% defense, which are, as we established, the more important stats over attack. And then for both pieces you get 2% attack, and as you can see I actually have these items on my Saladin. So that's basically how you find value. There are items of lesser rarity that have very good stats on them. The goal of value is to find something you can forge very easily, very quick, but gives you very good return. For example, also goes with the windswept set, because you can actually use it on 2 different types of units, gives you a whole lot of march speed, gives you a good variety of stats. So that's basically how you find value. So guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope I could help you. As I said, I'm going to have the same type of guide for the commanders in the game. And if you liked the video, consider liking and subscribing, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.